welcome to yet another beautiful day in Beirut and yet another episode of Ramblings with Rebecca. Those of you who know me or who watch all of these will notice that I talk about AMENDS a lot. The American Middle East Network for Dialogue at Stanford. It's a conference, but it's not. It's so much more than a conference. After the 2011 uprisings in the Middle East, this group of Stanford undergrads decided to bring a big cohort of social change activists from across the Middle East and America to Stanford for a week for idea swapping, resource sharing, and to share their ideas with the world. So they do these TED-style talks about their initiatives, and those are recorded and put online, but they also do lots of workshops on fundraising, social media, storytelling, you name it, with professors, with Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, those kind of folks, and with each other. Because for, 18 to 25-year-old social change makers across the Middle East, some of their biggest resources will be each other and just learning from how different groups have done problem solving. Truly one of the coolest weeks of my life when I went to Stanford as a delegate. My PhD was a distant dream. I was talking about this big interest in figuring out how to better frame and shape environmental issues in the Middle East and North Africa. And from that experience actually came all three of my ethnographic case studies for the PhD. AMENDS, I don't know what my PhD would be like without AMENDS. I really, really don't. It's an incredible thing. Darcy Hamad in Morocco was an introduction from a Moroccan AMENDS fellow. The Kuwait dive team, I met one of their members at AMENDS. He was a delegate my year. The others I came into contact with at reunion conferences. We do a follow-up every year in Istanbul with fellows from each year across and have a weekly digest, a very active Facebook group, all of these kind of things. It's the biggest follow-up I've ever seen from any kind of conference or fellowship in my life. It's really incredible. And here in Lebanon, the Media Association for Peace is not a group that has been formally a part of AMENDS, although I will be recommending that some of their journalists apply, but is an introduction from another AMENDS fellow. And one of those AMENDS fellows is Maya Taro, who runs another organization in Lebanon called FoodBlessed, which is really cool. And one of the very neat things about being in Lebanon, Pusha, I told you she was the loudest cat ever. That's her. That is a cat. Constantly. It's amazing. Will you come say hi? She won't. She's the least cuddly cat in existence. Hello. I won't be able to pick her up and show you, I don't think. She actually looks quite a lot like my cat from my childhood, minus about 20 pounds. Because Princess was really fat and Pusha's really thin. Anyway, sorry. FoodBlessed. One of the cool things about being in Lebanon is that I get to meet, again, many of the AMENDS fellows that I have met over the years, but also get to see in person their initiatives that I've heard so much about. FoodBlessed is a food bank in Lebanon, but much more than a food bank. And they do a lot of advocacy and campaigns to reduce food waste. And most of the food that they serve comes from restaurants, leftovers. And also grocery stores, like food that is still good but that they won't sell and that kind of thing. So they've done a lot of laws to try and require donations and eliminate food waste via the way it's stored and processed and labeled and those kind of things, as well as feeding over 250,000 meals to people. Increasingly in Lebanon now, a lot of their clients are refugees. Which is sad in a lot of ways, but of course very cool to see the kinds of relationships that are developing and the way the organization is responding to those. So I've had the chance to meet a lot of the volunteers, and I'll be volunteering myself in the coming weeks at the pantry, which is very, very cool. So fun to finally see Maya's work. I've seen Maya in many different places around the world, and we talk about it, and all she ever talks about is FoodBlessed. To finally see FoodBlessed is very cool. And then also the Media Association for Peace is based in this startup place called AltCity, that does, is an entrepreneur startup, a co-working space and that kind of thing, which is another AMENDS initiative. And I met one of the co-founders at my AMENDS year when AltCity was really, really just starting. So it's really cool to see all of these things growing and blooming. And Beirut's nifty.